Today, I thought we'd talk about lots of different things actually, from the spring patch for Battlefield 4 to the Battlefield Hardline CTE, and even things that you can do to help DICE LA even more about the Battlefield 4 CTE. So lots of things to discuss, but first of all, I'm going to start with that spring patch for Battlefield 4 because it's coming closer and closer to a general release, with DICE devs having been quoted as saying the patch is due sometime around late May. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, hey Westy, we know the spring patch is coming at some point, but what is it actually going to include? Are we getting new maps and new weapons from the CTE? Well, not exactly. Here's what we know is coming in terms of content for the spring patch. The returning Gunmaster game mode from Battlefield 3, the AN-94 assault rifle, the Groza 1 carbine, the Groza 4 PDW, the Mare's Leg lever action rifle, and the L86A2 LMG. So 5 new guns and a new game mode, or rather a returning game mode from a previous Battlefield title. This content will be free to all players, and it's not going to be locked behind the premium banner as weapons and other content have been in the past. So anybody who has the base game of Battlefield 4 will be getting access to all of this content, which is a great move by DICE LA. Other than that, we won't be seeing anything in terms of content, but we will be seeing a huge number of weapon changes and balance fixes. Some highlights, or rather some lowlights in my opinion, are the nerf to ammo counts for a few of the sniper rifles, including my Bay, the M40A5. I was really disappointed. It had its ammo count dropped from 10 to 5. It was a needless nerf in my opinion, but there we go. I guess we have to accept it. Other weapons like the G36C are seeing the addition of a 2-round burst fire mode to compete with the upcoming AN-94 rifle, and various other weapons too are having their bullet velocities tweaked, certain sort of recoil changes, and loads of different balancing stuff is going on in there. I made a video a couple of weeks ago that I highlighted the most important things that are coming up in this sort of balance change, but if you do want to go and check that out, it's linked on the screen right now, or there's a link in the description so you can go watch it. For those of you asking where the night maps and veteran maps are, well, DICE aren't finished with those yet, or in the case of the veteran maps, haven't even begun to show them off publicly. The night maps are just taking this long due to the lighting. They're completely changing the map from daytime to nighttime, and you might think that would be an easy fix in just turning all the lights off, but it really isn't just that simple. It's much more complicated. Having been involved in that night map event that we did a few months ago, that took ages for the guy Shadow 6 to set up. The amount of different things we had to put into the cinematic tool for Battlefield 4 to get that thing to work was just ridiculous. It's not just the lighting itself, it's the angling and the placement. Oh, there's so much involved, so I can understand why the night maps are taking this long. Moving on to the Battlefield Hardline CTE. It seems Visceral are gearing up for announcement in the coming weeks, as when I clicked on the CTE bookmark in Google Chrome today, it gave me this page instead of the normal Battlefield 4 landing page. The Hardline CTE is, I believe, going to be utilised in exactly the same way as the current Battlefield 4 CTE is, testing important, potentially game-changing features before they go out on full release. And up first will be Hardline's netcode, with the implementation of the higher tick rate, refresh rate. I'm really confused. I still can't quite get my head round which terms I'm supposed to be using when it comes to netcode, so I'm going to say like a higher frequency update is going to be tested than what is currently available in the base game, which is always a good thing, but that has already been tested in Battlefield 4 CTE, so you might be wondering why they want to do it for Visceral's Hardline game as well. Well, apparently it's to do with like the time to kill and making sure that that higher update rate is going to work with the shorter time to kill that Hardline offers. It is going to come up with some complications, but hopefully they can be fixed in CTE before it goes out into the main game. And on top of that, we're going to get the chance to test one of the 4 maps coming in the new Criminal Activity DLC when the CTE launches. Now, we don't have a confirmed date for it yet, but the fact that there is a landing page for it on the internet right now leads me to believe that it's not going to be far away. My only concern, and I think I mentioned this in my last Hardline video that I did, is the player count. There are only maybe 5,000 people online for Battlefield Hardline on PC during peak times. And if CTE is going to work the same way as it does for Battlefield 4, you're going to need a premium membership to be able to get in. Now, with only 5,000 people playing, and let's assume that maybe 30% of those people have access to premium, that's a tiny percentage of people that might go and play on CTE, and with the numbers that are in the Battlefield 4 version, I can't imagine it being all that populated, so Visceral are probably going to have to create some kind of incentive or do something to push people towards playing in that CTE. If they want things tested, they need people in there, and with a player base currently like Hardline has, I'm not really sure how it's going to work, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And finally for today, DICE have decided to take forward a format that was present right back at the start of Battlefield 4. Do you remember the BF4 bug tracker? Well, yeah, that's being implemented now for the CTE. This tool was created by a guy called Red Spider, who is actually a really cool guy. The fact that he made this whole tool by himself, just thinking about that, that's quite an achievement. Yeah, he created the original one all the way back when Battlefield 4 first started, and instead of throwing his toys out of the pram about the netcode and the shoddy state of the game, he made this bug tracker specifically to make it easy for anyone to see what was a known issue in the game, whether it was being worked on, and whether it had been fixed. There's a link in the description to the bug tracker, and I highly suggest you go and check it out because it is cool to see just at a glance what DICE are working on. And there's a link to Red Spider's Twitter in the description too. He's a really cool person to follow because he posts food porn, and that kind of makes me jealous, especially the one with the steak. That always makes me hungry. But that's it for today. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. I've got some time, and hopefully I can utilise that properly. I struggle very much with getting distracted by social media and other YouTube videos, so I'll do my best to make a second video for Sunday. I'll be continuing the Forgotten Weapon series next week too with the M60 LMG, so look out for that if that's something that you want to watch. But I really do hope that you enjoyed today's video. Leave a like if you did. And don't forget to hit up g2a.com/r/Westy for all the latest deals on the hottest games. The link's in the description. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.